Reb Adam, whilst we wait till Reb Eddie has I'm wondering if Reb Eddie is able to finish off after you. So are you able to, unless anyone's in touch with him, perhaps Reb Adam, if you share some words now, and then Reb Eddie will finish off when you finish.
So I think
he's back.
There we go. The trick worked. I'm going.
Yeah, apologies. This is the internet in Efrat is something unique. So you didn't continue, right? Should I continue from where we stopped? So Reb Chaim Volozhin explains the following. He says that blessing comes from the word from the idea of increasing, but the question he asks, he says that blessing can't just be a vague metaphoric spiritual quality that we are, something that we hope for, but he says there is really what we're talking about is increasing, and we see that in multiple places. It brings psukim, it says uverach et bri b'pnecha, that you will multiply, you'll have multiple children, and so on. And also it brings in Gematria, it says something very nice, that if you look at the letters of bracha, the bet, resh, and chaf, in Gematria, bet is 2, resh is 200, chaf is 20. It's everything. It's in the tens, in the hundreds, right? And what it's essentially saying is that we shall have the strength to increase and to multiply, and in everything that we need. It doesn't specify something specific. Yivachecha Hashem in X, but Yivachecha Hashem in general, whatever it is that you're doing in life. And Veishmerecha is the end of it, is the signing of it, because what do you need when you have so much strength and everything that you have is increasing and you have so able to achieve so much? You need something to be able to keep it. To keep it, also to cherish it, but also to keep it not to stray, and to use your multiplication for something that is a chas v'shalom wrong. The second verse, if you look at it, I'm not presenting now, but we can go through it very quickly. The second one, it really speaks about Ya'er Hashem panav elecha v'yichuneka. Ya'er, then he explains, okay, it is good that you're achieving and that you're increasing and that you're keeping everything in life, but at the same time, you also have to remember that where everything is coming from, who shines light on everything that you do. This won't be probably coming from your multiplication. This will come from Hashem. And also, v'yichuneka, you think sometimes that the grace, the favor that you find in other people's eyes comes from you, but in fact, it doesn't come from you. It comes from finding favor in somebody's eyes is nothing that we can explain. It's not when Yosef found favor in the whole Egyptians' eyes. It wasn't because he did something very unique and specific that we can say, but it was because something Hashem shined his way, and then the other side of it was v'yichuneka. And then I think that the end of it was with really beautiful when it ends with the words Isa Hashem panav elecha, meaning at the end Hashem will look up to the things that you will do, that you will achieve, for the reason, see you fulfilling the reason that he put you here in the world. Isa Hashem panav elecha is almost like saying, it's a chutzpah if you think of it, it's almost like saying Hashem will look up to you, right? Hashem will lift his eyes to look for you. But I think there is something very powerful there, which is then Hashem will be fulfilled with you, and then also at the other side, v'yiten lecha shalom, he will give you the shalom, the fulfillment, the feeling of whole, the feeling of I did something as a whole. And I just want to finish with, I found I actually went through many of Josh's Dvivot Torah since he passed away, and I find that he always had this sight over there of looking towards the Torah, and then right back at himself, at his life, and how did he experience everything, every single parasha, and he spoke constantly about mental health because he felt that was something that was so close to him. And Rivka told many times the story about how he came to us and he said we should really start a project and do something about students' mental health and about social pressure. And he really took everything that made him whole and gave that blessing, tried to give that blessing to everybody throughout Divrei Torah, throughout his talks, through his friends and family. And that was something that was really inspiring for us. And I think that in a way, Josh really embodied a lot of the brachot here, a lot of the idea that the Kohanim really should give in the Birkat Kohanim.
A big thank you. And without further ado, over to Reb Adam, who's also calling in from Eretz Yisrael, who I know together with Eli managed to really be with the family and with Joshua in the past couple of months. You're on.
Okay. Can you hear me? Just give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Yeah, good. Okay, first of all, my thoughts and all of our family to the Carr family. You've been on our minds for the whole month, and you will be on our minds for continuing, as is Josh. And I think probably I'm not the only one here who in the days after Joshua's niftar found myself crying in the most strangest of places, usually doing tefillah in the minyan. Very convenient to be able to put your talis over your head and pretend you've got a cold or something. But during those quiet moments, there was a lot of emotion. It was quite difficult to process, actually, and I wasn't expecting it. I knew Josh was a very special person, but I wasn't expecting personally the reaction that I had inside. And in the days afterwards, you try to just think about things, and obviously Josh was on my mind a lot. Why do we cry? Why do we cry? We cry for many reasons. And I was able to pin down, I thought, the reason why I was moved to tears. And it was quite simply that I had seen something beautiful. And when you see something beautiful, it can move you to tears. It could be the most beautiful sunset, or it could be just, I don't know, a bunch of flowers that's perfect, or it could be, but sometimes you can look at a person, and not in a crass way or in a materialistic way, but you can look at a person and you can realize that you've seen something truly beautiful. And I'm not sure quite what order it's going to come out in, but some of the thoughts of the last month I'd like to share, and some of I certainly wasn't the person who knew Josh the most in the world, just in the last few years, and there was a big break from when we left Leeds and he followed on afterwards, but the contact was always deep with his questions, my slow responses, but there was always something meaningful there. And where shall I start? I'll say something beautiful. When we speak about beauty in our humanistic terms, we think of the idea of perfection. And it says about Avram Avinu that at a certain point, when Avram had gone on his own journey, he left his homeland, his father's home in Ur Kasdim, and he'd come all the way to the land of Israel. He made so many sacrifices along the way, as Josh had done, right? Leaving his home, leaving Leeds and following his wonderful parents and family, who'd embedded that beautiful love of Israel he had inside him. And he moved himself also did his own Lech Lecha, his own journey. Let's look what Hashem says to Abraham in the beginning of the 17th parak in Bereshit. It says the following, if I find the right place, V'yomer elav, ani kel shakai, yitalech lefanai v'yeh tamim. Go before me and be tamim. Now, I'm going to very badly translate the word tamim to mean perfect. It's a terrible translation, but it's what the English language can do. But the word tamim if in modern Hebrew, tmimut is naivety, if you like. If someone is tamim, it's not necessarily a compliment per se. Tamim, it's like perhaps a bit innocent, a bit naive. But why is the word tamim here? What does it mean about perfection? You might be familiar, I'm sure you are, with one of the four sons on the Pesach night is the tam, the boy who is perhaps innocent. He doesn't know too much, but he speaks with a certain purity of thought that the father doesn't need to say anything more than we left Egypt and Hashem took us out, and that's all he needs to hear. Doesn't need complication. It's almost like some things you require lots and lots and lots to make them complete, and some things, the simplicity of them makes it complete. And I think that's how the kind of idea works. That when Abraham is told by Hashem, walk before me and be tamim, what he's saying to him is, make your thoughts just so easy and pure and simple that you get it. Without too much complication, just live that way in a sense of tamimut, a sense of completeness, perfection in that sense. And I think that that Josh achieved something so remarkable in his life, in a sense of his thoughts and his being was truly tamim. It was sometimes it was innocent. It wasn't complicated. And if you look at his namesake, Yoshua, and it's such a perfect name for him, because when Yoshua came to the land of Israel, of course, we know that Yoshua was one of the two good spies, right? One of the two spies who only had good to say about the land. Let's look what Yoshua said when the 10 spies came back, and they said, the Moshe sent the 12 spies, one from each representative of the Shvatim, of the tribes.
I guess it's not just a frat, the general Israel.
We'll give Adam a moment or two.
ולקום כמו גדול, אדירי, כמו זכור. אני נשרף אבל בוחר בכל יום להמשיך לחיות. אני אלוף העולם בלרצות לפחות לנסות. אדירי, איך בסוף אחרי ההפסדים הניצחון הרבה יותר מתוק. אני אלוף העולם. אני אלוף העולם בלהצדיק חולשות ותאוות היצר. הוא מכר ותיק, מכיר כל טריק עתיק שהוא מחזיק בתיק. אבל תראי, יום אחד אהיה צדיק. עמוק בפנים כל מה שיש לי לא מספיק. בעליל, אני עכבר קטן והחיים חליל. נופל הבור כי לא מצליח להבדיל בין טוב לרע ולאן כל זה מוביל. את משדרת עסקים כרגיל, אבל תכף ייגמר לנו הפתיל. אני אלוף העולם בליפול.
Okay. Unfortunately, it seems to be like Adam's also had a little bit of some technical difficulties. We have a student that was very close to Josh, who really is the voice of all the students. I feel like every person over here, one of the most special things about Josh was that every single person felt like his closest friend. And the fact that he messaged you, none of us knew whether it was a private message or we were sending it to everyone, but he definitely made us feel that way. So, and I'm going to hand over to Shira just to mention a few words, and I guess if Adam comes back on, he'll finish over there. So over to you, Shira. Thank you.
That's very true. You can all hear me? Yeah. Okay, perfect. And I hope my Wi-Fi holds up then better than Wi-Fi from Israel. So thank you so much for allowing me to speak. You know, being very honest, to talk about Josh is very difficult to know where to start because there's just so much to say. But many people have said to me and many other people on this call right now that there's no right or wrong thing to say and there's no right or wrong way to react. But I think the best way to honor Josh is to learn a few things that we, this like lucky cohort of students that got to learn from him throughout our time in Leeds. And that's what I'm hoping to do right now. So to start with, I want you to do something. I want you to look at the Zoom if you haven't already, and just have a quick click through and just see who's here. I know that most people have probably done it already. See how many people are here and who's here. How many people from how many different backgrounds and different year groups and different friendship circles, different organizations, and how we are all here. And the one thing that we all have in common is Josh. This is something I've always respected about Josh. He genuinely was friends with everyone. He was never in a clique or in a group. He could sit at any table at Chabad, JSOC, chaplaincy or Aish and be amongst friends. And that's just a huge quality that's incredibly inspiring. We'll always remember Josh for being the light of the party, always down for everything and always constantly doing something different and trying something new. From football to JSOC to library sessions at Leeds Beckett, while he was in Leeds, like Josh was always on the go. He didn't stop. One of my personal favorite memories of Josh in Leeds was actually in our first year of university. We lived in Hillel together and he came to me and he said, I want to lead Kabbalat Shabbat. I've never really had the opportunity to do it before. Like, do you want to help me? And I was like, for sure. And we sat in his room upstairs in the top floor of Hillel House, and we went through, we sang through the whole of Kabbalat Shabbat. We put little notes in his siddur about when to start singing and when to stop, and little prompts to remember what tune to do for L'Chadodi and things like that. And that Shabbat, he led Kabbalat Shabbat for the Leeds student Hillel Minyan. And it was in Josh's, very own tuneful manner, but it was still really lovely. But this is Josh, constantly doing new things and constantly developing both in Kodesh and in Chol, in holy and in secular, working with JSOCs in the university and developing his own spiritual journey one step at a time. I believe we can all learn from Josh that it's never too late to start working on yourself and asking questions and trying new things. So I was extremely lucky to have grown up with Josh, and basically because of the pandemic, it was the longest time that I hadn't seen Josh. And I was also very lucky to be in Israel quite recently in September, and I went to Renana on Motzei Shabbat to hang out with Josh. And we were going to go out for ice cream, but we didn't go in the end. We just sat and we just chatted, which was really, it was fun. It was a fun thing to do. And the conversation got pretty deep. And I just want to share this thought, this idea, and something that Josh said to me. So we were sitting there and, we were casually talking about all the normal things you talk about on Motzei Shabbat, challenges of Anglo Jewry and challenges of the social norms of our Jewish education and all the light topics of casual conversation. And it was the Chagim, it was Sukkot time, and Josh was about to start, if I remember correctly, multidisciplinary Jewish studies at Bar-Ilan. And Josh turned to me and he was telling me how excited he was to start the course. And he said, it's because I know what I want to do. Just off the back of talking about Jewish education in the UK and upbringings and things like that. And he said, I just want to show everybody that the root of everything is Hashem. He said, he said that you don't have to be the frommest and you don't have to keep everything, but like the root of everything, if you know that it's Hashem, then you're never going to turn away because you've got that strength, you've got that shorish, you've got that root. And you know, it's not the normal type of conversation I'd say I'd have with my friends in the conversation back, but it was pretty deep and it was pretty powerful. And I actually noted it down afterwards because it was really like inspiring, and it was a really interesting thought. I've told this story quite a few times now because I feel like I have a responsibility to share it. As I said, we are a lucky cohort of students that got to share our university experience with Josh. I think that there's been a phenomenal amount of unity and kindness that has come from something so sad, and that is Josh. Josh wanted to show that the root of everything is Hashem. And if we take Josh's attitude of trying something new, appreciating the environment that we were in, but taking a deeper look into our lives and really trying to find the root of what we are doing, this message can be spread so far and wide, and it can make mountains move. The first thing I asked you guys to do when I started was to look around the Zoom and acknowledge how diverse we all are, living different lives and knowing so many different people. If we all picked one thing to do to make the world a better place and acknowledge that the root of everything is Hashem, by trying something new, something relevant to you and your life, even just one thing. So this is what I want to say. We, as I say again, the lucky cohort of Leeds Jewish students, can take this message, choose one thing to do in Josh's name. Remember that it's never too late to try something new, and we don't have to be the frommest, and you don't have to keep is from Hashem to make the difference in the world that we want to see. We have a responsibility to do so for Josh. Before I mention the phenomenal amount of kindness and unity that's come from such a sad situation, let's keep that going. When you've done your one thing, tell someone. Tell Josh's family, Josh's friends, Chabad, Aish, chaplaincy, your friends at JSOC. Let's all do one thing and be there for one another, like how Josh would have been there for us.
Thank you, Shira. That was beautiful.
Thank you so much.
I noticed that Adam's on the call, but I don't know if he's
Still on the call.
still on the call. Oh,
Hi,
Adam's here. Okay.
can you hear me? Okay. Sure, I just caught the tail end of maybe afterwards. I'd love to. I'm so sorry I got cut off. I've been searching around some quiet corner in my house that the Wi-Fi exists in. Yeah, okay, so I'll just pick up where I was up to. I think a good place to pick up from is in the period when Josh was just recovered from his very serious illness. I visited him in hospital. His father was there, Jonathan was there, and it was one of the most remarkable encounters, because usually when you go to visit someone who's not well, you expect to have to give them strength in some way and try to lift them, but the exact opposite happened. And Josh didn't stop in his Divrei Torah, didn't stop in his faith, his words of faith. He didn't stop in his positivity. It was something totally difficult to describe, and as I'm finding it difficult now to describe. But I want to share with one of the questions that he asked me, which we didn't fully discuss, but we discussed, in the time that allowed. And the question he asked was, what should be the proper intent when we in the brachot, the morning blessings that we say when we start our day? And the question came because Josh had his entire purpose was appreciation. It came across so strongly that everything he did, he wanted to find something good to thank for. He wanted to find something positive about the world to say. Just like his namesake, Yoshua in the Parsha, right? When Joshua saw the land, he said, "This land is fantastic. I don't think I've ever seen anybody so excited about getting a Teudat Zehut before. Anyone so excited about embracing Israeli bureaucracy as Josh was. Everything was so exciting and so wonderful. And just on that point of Israel, it was so wonderful to see when Josh came to Israel. It was like a little plant being put in the soil it was supposed to be in, flourished and he blossomed. And out of that came such positivity. The question he asked was, what should be the proper intent when we say those morning blessings? And we discussed it a little bit there. And the thing was that he actually had the answers. He didn't need any rabbi to tell him what the books should say about how to appreciate, because he lived that way. He had come to his own conclusions through his own power of his own neshama, knew that when you breathe a breath of fresh air, you should say thank you for it. And when you can open your eyes in the morning, the first thing to do is to appreciate how wonderful things are, to thank for the family you have and the friends you have and the land you have and everything. He didn't need any book to teach him that. This was the tmimut, the sense of completeness that he had reached himself. But I do want to, if you just allow the last couple of minutes, I think it would be, I feel that maybe Josh would be appreciative to share some of these this wisdom of where these morning brachot come from. It's something absolutely incredible that we say in Sif Mem Vav in the Mishnah Berurah. Reads the following. I'll translate as well. I'll just translate into English. When a person wakes up from their sleep, he should say Elokai Neshama, the soul which you gave me, and praise that. And there's a whole prayer we say Elokai Neshama Shentatali Ta'arahi, the soul you gave me is pure. And then he says the following. The Mishnah Berurah says the following, and this all comes from Masechet Brachot on Daf Samach Amud Beis, or from the Gemara. The rabbi said a person should wake up, and there was a whole method for which we would wake up in the morning. When he hears the chicken making its cookery, its call, its cock-a-doodle-doo, he should say that you gave me the ability to discern this, to discern night from day. You gave me the ability to know that it's light. When you put on your clothes, you should say, "Blessed is God who clothes the naked." When you place your hands on your eyes, just to rub your eyes when you're waking up, you should say, "Thanks God for opening the eyes of the blind." And at every single stage in the morning, not only was there a bracha, but there was an action that accompanied it. And there's a whole bunch of stages here, and they're all here. From when you sit down on your bed, you should say, "Thank you that I'm not a prisoner. I can sit down when I want to." When you those who are crooked, when you put your feet on the floor, "Thank you, Hashem, for giving me land to walk on." When you put your shoes on, every single action had a bracha. If you think about it, what that means is that Jewish wisdom from thousands of years ago had a method for waking up in the morning, a method that it wasn't just, it says in the next seif along, the next section, the Mishnah Berurah says we don't do that anymore, because the rabbi said, it could be that our hands aren't pure when we didn't wash our hands yet, and how we know which brachot to say. When we wouldn't know what to do, which order, we often rattle off these morning brachot, and then we get on with the davening, wake up in the morning. And in Josh's short but beautiful life, he taught us how to wake up in the morning, how to wake up with gratitude, how to say thank you for the small things, how to appreciate the small things are huge things. And I think that's, personally, it's taught me a huge amount, which I am very grateful to Josh for. And I guess I would like to to hope that we can all take with us some of Josh's incredible koach and strength for appreciating life, and to and to take it into our worlds. And one final this generation needed to see what it looks like for a person to cry attitude that he is alive. And this is what Josh gave us. Josh gave us the immense power in the world that we need to bring life to. Each of us can find something, 1, 2, 3 things in our life that we can just be more grateful for. And with that, we can each become closer, not only to each other, to Hashem, and bring forward the greater redemption that we're all looking for, and the Binyan Beit HaMikdash. I want to thank everyone who's been on this call tonight, family, for letting us into your lives and into the wonderful, beautiful, warm family you are. Having had the opportunity to meet you, I saw straight away where Josh's warmth manner had come from, and it was wonderful just to see what the ground was that this beautiful tree grew out of. And then we are now a week before Tu B'Shvat, to appreciate, look how beautiful the land is, which is the eyes that Josh saw. We should all have those eyes and merit to see in that beautiful way. We pass back to Rav Shaoli to finish things off. But thank you very much. Apologies again for the interruption of the Wi-Fi.
Thank you.
Sorry, I just wanted to add one. I thought whether I should just let you finish, or I'll just add this point about what Adam said. I remember that when we were struggling to have a student minyan in Leeds, I remember how much Josh was all the time pushing it and pushing other people to come and making sure that it will happen. And we had like a slogan at the time, which was kind of wake up like a lion, and like a muscle on like we had a WhatsApp group, and we made shirts like that and scarves later. And I just wanted to add to what you said. Everything you said about him really encapsulated to I think what he named the first, if I'm not mistaken, the first WhatsApp group of his Divrei Torah, when he started sharing with everybody, he called it Wake Up Like a Lion. And this is really everything that you just mentioned about him appreciating life and pushing towards, and the kavana that you said that he had in the, in the Birkot in the morning, and that lion was his name. But anyway, I'll shut up now because there is so much more that I can add.
100%. I think it's one of these. I think really, well, it might even be the right thing to do, to sit all night and just speak, because there's so much that people. If I just go through my WhatsApp messages, there's so much that like people can pitch in. But I feel like all we can do is offer a tribute and an Ilon Neshama, and something which has been mentioned amongst myself, Reb Eli, Reb Adam, Reb Michal, is do something more often. And definitely, if this is something which you're interested in, please be in touch. I'm happy to coordinate it. So if any of the people on the call are interested, please be in touch with me. There's a lot of stuff going on, and I'm happy to introduce you to that. And I think to finish off, would love to hear from I don't know who it is in the end, but I'd love to hear from one of the members of Josh's beautiful family.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Thank you all for joining us to mark the end of shloshim for our precious son Joshua, for his lulei Ishma. Thank you for all the kind messages you constantly sent us over the last month, the love and support we've had from near and far. It's meant the world to us and really kept us going. A very personal thank you from the four of us for the very kind and thoughtful educational words and tributes made by Rabbi Danau, Rabbi Ross, Rabbi Maximoff. We all wish you the continued success for all the wonderful work that you do. Joshua, throughout his time in Leeds, always spoke highly of all of you, I guess there's a big learning to take away is that if you put an event on and there's food, people will come, because that was always Joshua's definitely raison d'etre to kick off with. And a very big personal thank you for the part that you all played in Joshua's life. Thank you very much. Thank you also to Shira for your beautiful words you spoke about Joshua. You're always such a good personal friend to him. So big thank you to you. It's very stimulating words that you said. And thank you to Rabbi Shirley. I'll probably thank you a million times, and I'll keep thanking you a million times for not just organising the event tonight, but everything you personally did for Joshua, and also everything that you're continually still doing for Joshua now. And to all Joshua's friends on the call tonight, many of you super close to Joshua, some from a very young age, all the way through to his journey when he made Aliyah. And when Joshua first arrived in King David in Manchester, thank you to those that on his very first day introduced Joshua to a food fight at lunchtime. I think that was quite an early education for him. To his great times he had in Yavne, all the boys' holidays that you had together. There were a few too many drunken nights out, apparently. To Joshua's gap year, and I know some of those that were on Joshua's gap year on Arbok are on the call tonight. So eventually moving on to university in JSOC and Gabaying for the Minyan and Hapol, Hyde Park. I think there was some studying going on, but I think mostly there was pre's and even more pre-pre's, I think, as well. To all the fantasy football conversations and weekly predictions, and then finally Joshua's journey of making Aliyah 2 years ago to his time in Shiva. Joshua loved being with his friends. It meant the most to him. It was a big important part of his life. And we did a private call with some of the boys in Yavne, and Joey, who I think is on the call tonight, said something really poignant to us as a family. He said that Joshua was the glue that held everyone together. And a real strength of Joshua was his inclusivity. He had a fantastic way of bringing all his friends from different backgrounds, from different groups together to try and make sure whatever was going on, Joshua tried to include everybody. He had a great way of bringing all his different friends together, whether it was the OTD boys, his university friends, his gap year friends, his Shiva friends, the friends he made in Israel. He always tried hard, if there's something going on, to try and bring everybody together. And Joshua loved you all. He loved telling us as a family what you were all up to with your own life journeys and your own adventures. He told us all the nicknames that you had for each other and for all you on the call tonight. And we want you to know as a family that you all meant the world to Joshua. You really did. Please never underestimate that and never lose that thought from us as a family, how much you meant to him. And so Mandy, Dalia, Liat, and myself, we want to thank you all for the part that you played in Joshua's life, everything you did for him. And most importantly, thank you for being a great friend to him. And please, please never be a stranger in our lives. Our door is always open to everybody in Israel. Please God, everybody on the call will eventually get to Israel one day. And please do come and find us. We don't want to lose you as a part of Joshua's life. Thank you all again. Thanks, Shirley.
Big thank you. And I feel if anyone wants to just pop on and wish whatever wishes you have towards the Carr families, you're welcome to stay on. But a big thank you to I mean, we move on, people move around the world, and truth is that we hadn't spoken like so much, all of us together, until this happened. And sometimes tragedies bring people together. And Mitzvah Hashem in the future should be only Smachat and Mashiach, etc. So a big thank you for everyone for joining, and a big thank you to the Danoff family, to the Maximal family, to the Ross family, and to Shira and everyone else. I think on a personal note, I just want to say to the Carr family, I know that it's been a busy number of days for the shloshim period, and I think, am I right? This is the last one.
This is the third we've done to Mark Shloshim, and then we go into a round of siyums for all the Mishnayos that's been learned, all the Daf Yomi that's been learned from Masechtas Megillah. So we've got a whole round of siyums, including one at 3 in the morning in New York, which we're not quite sure how we're going to do that.
Wishing you a Chaim Aruchim, a long life, and Mazel Tov. Is the amount of Torah that's being learned and things like this, just bringing Eden together, is just unbelievable.
Thank you.
Should be a real in neshama for him. Thank you.
Thank you. Amen. Amen. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Wish you a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.